as a statement about all of this, and that's all that it's going to be in nature. Unstructured debates like the kinds that made Charlie Kirk famous. Hold on. You know, that made Charlie Kirk famous are inherently and inescapably unhealthy and destructive to the quality of the national discourse. In order for discourse to even begin to qualify as healthy, it requires moderators to behave like umpires in a sports game and keep score, deducting points for unethical debate behavior like ad hominem attacks, galloping, and outright presenting false facts to the debate club. You need fact checkers to deduct points for false claims, logicians to deduct points for the deployment of logical fallacies, and cognitive scientists to deduct points for the deployment of cognitive biases as part of the structure of the debate, none of which was present in any of Charlie Kirk's debates. These kinds of debates produce the illusion of victory, which fools many otherwise sane people into thinking anything at all was won, or that these unstructured debates in them count for anything. And yet I can confidently assert that because there is no point system, no fact-checking, no scorekeeping, no loss of points for lies and fallacious logic, that a victory at an unstructured debate does not count at all and inherently can never count. Charlie Kirk won nothing that counted ever. He beat a bunch of 18-year-olds, even though he was a 31-year-old, at unethical debates that frankly degraded the quality of the national discourse in the process. Unstructured debates like the kinds that he was so keen on engaging in are inherently unethical and destructive to the quality of the national discourse. There's no way to engage in them that improves anything in any way. There's no way to engage in them without destroying the quality of the national discourse. There were no rules, there was no structure, there were no fact checkers, there were no people to call out the deployment of logical fallacies, there were no cognitive scientists to call out the use of cognitive biases in the defense of things like confirmation bias. None of this was present at any of the debates, quote unquote, that Charlie Kirk, quote unquote, won. I don't think that winning at a completely unstructured debate counts at all for anything. You won because there were no rules, and you were able to exploit the fact that none of your behavior and your unethical tactics at these debates were out of bounds and out of the rules of the debate. There's no way to do this that doesn't result in a destructive influence in the national discourse, and it's only too bad that our society has normalized this. I mean, if you look at what academia would probably put forward in a debate club versus what is put forward in a presidential debate, it becomes readily apparent that what we've tolerated in these debates is frankly appalling and shocking, because it allows a lot of grifters and charlatans to get away with things that they really shouldn't be able to get away with, and walk away and fool otherwise sane and rational people into thinking that they've defeated anybody or won anything in this whole process. And yet, because there were no ethics to any of these debates, I really don't think that winning in this kind of environment counts for anything, really. Congratulations, you achieved a victory with a debate structure that was rigged in your favor, Because there was no structure, so you were able to get away with anything, and that, yeah. So you want to lecture me about how he supposedly, was, engaging in healthy discourse with the public. I beg to differ. There's not, you can't escape from that, because the kinds of unstructured debates that he was familiar with are inherently and inescapably destructive to the national discourse. So because he was engaging in them at all, he was necessarily degrading the quality of the national discourse and making everything worse.